We continue our serious investigation of the biggest sovereign citizen losers. This one definitely tips the scales. At age 68, he got convicted recently and will do approximately 22 years in federal prison. And in the federal system, you got to do 85% of your sentence before you can get out, which effectively is a life sentence for this guy. Basically bilked investors out of 13 million, made a Boy Scout pledge that he would not use any money for himself. It would all be philanthropic. Of course, nobody made any money. They all lost their money. He then set up overseas wire transfers to disguise the money, and his co-conspirators, they got busted as well. So he is now on the hook for a restitution order of around 11 million. I doubt you'll see any of that money because he'll be locked up the whole time. And there are some interesting things that they confiscated as part of the sentence and part of the forfeiture. So let's take a look. Okay, so here's the press release celebrating his conviction. John Rick Weiner, age 68 in New Mexico. Fraud, money laundering, obstruction of justice, conspiracies. He got 262 months, like we said, probably die in prison. Nearly 11 million in restitution and a forfeiture of a residence in Norway, a luxury vehicle, approximately 4 million in silver coins, and a partridge in a pear tree. It says investor money. Now, this is very surprising to me, not used for charitable or for humanitarian projects, and investors never received a return on their investments relating to the monies here. What else we got here? This is kind of cool, a forfeiture order. I want to treat you guys to things that are cool. It's not cool if you're the recipient, but it's cool to see it. Everyone talks about the Fifth Amendment, Dr. Evil. I'm invoking the Fifth Amendment. Well, believe it or not, if you look at the full Fifth Amendment, it also has a provision where there shall be only the taking of property upon just compensation, because the King of England used to confiscate things. So not only is it great to protect you from ratting yourself out, it's also great for protecting you from having your property taken for less than what is considered fair market value. But when you get involved and locked down on a criminal conspiracy, they like the forfeiture provision. The judge signs the order, consider it gone. A vehicle is a Mercedes GLC 250 bearing the VIN number. Who cares? Silver coins originally worth $2.7 million. That's a lot of silver, guys. Approximately a million silver coins seized again. The laptop, who knows what is disclosed on a laptop? Just ask Hunter Biden. And then the residence over here in Norway. I'm sure it was quite nice. Now, I want to show you what happens when you get the feds lined up on you. They've already got their verdict forms ready to go. Guilty, 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 guilty. These are the ones guilty, 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 guilty. Are the instructions. There are 30 pages. I don't go over all of them, but the judge signed it, said, here you go. And look, every instance, every separate use of an interstate wire communication in furtherance of the scheme to defraud constitutes a separate offense. So imagine one day you get a little ornery and you send out 10 wire transfers overseas and you try to hide it. It's all based on fraud. That's 10 separate wire fraud charges. I think each is 20 years max. The $83,000 to purchase a Mercedes vehicle in Norway. I really hope that Mercedes 250 was not $83,000. That in itself is a crime. And then 1.3 million from DNB Bank in Norway to purchase a residence in Norway. Wow, must be a nice house. Deliberate, ignorant, willful blindness. I want to talk about that for a second. Prosecutors would refer to that as the ostrich defense. The ostrich defense means is that while your head is buried under the sand, your ass is exposed. So the judgment from here, now you'll know that you have a bad problem when your appeal falls so flat that it's basically a couple of sentences. We read, considered it, denied. Petition, denied. I like that. So here is what he's going to have to do for the rest of his basically natural born life. Here are the counts he was convicted on. SS would be second superseding indictment. And here are the counts he was busted on: monitoring instruments, aiding and abetting, blah, blah, blah. Those are the count numbers. 240 months plus 22 more added on, called consecutive. Be wary of consecutive versus a concurrent. 11.8 million in restitution. And of course, the $1,200 fine. Here are the poor souls that gave the money, $2,900,000 to these guys. It says, you shall forfeit your interest in the following property in the United States: the residence in Norway, a vehicle of Mercedes GLC, silver coins, which were seized pursuant to a search warrant executed at the residence in Norway, a laptop. Be careful what's on those laptop, guys. You never know what might pop up. I'm very happy for him that he's winding up with the place that he needs to be at. Let's now go to the jokes. How do you know when you're the ugliest person in the room? Well, they hand you the camera to take the group picture. Betty White was asked, what do you think about the expression that a man needs to have balls? And she says, look, that really doesn't make any sense. By their nature, balls are delicate. They can be crushed. They're vulnerable. He says, no, what you really want to be is a vagina. And the reporter said, why is that? She says, vaginas were built to take a pounding. God bless Betty White. I was talking to my neighbor while he was cutting his grass, and he was kind of frustrated. And he says, I wish my grass were emo. And I said, why? He goes, because then it would cut itself. I was out to dinner with my wife, and the waitress was flirting with me. And I mentioned to my wife, and she says, well, she has COVID. And I said, how, why would you say that? She says, it's simple. She has no taste. See you on the next one, guys.